In a world where football reigns supreme, there's little time to waste. The sports world's ever-changing, and situations and scenarios differ from week to week, hell, even day to day. One false move can derail an entire season. I know that feeling. Don't let your football campaigns get derailed in your living room. With DraftKings, the sponsor of this video, you can command and take charge of your own domain. Here's the game plan. Draft one, get one. Enter a lineup in the $15 million best ball contest. A $20 entry fee gets you a bonus ticket to play free. DraftKings is pulling out all the stops in the biggest fantasy contest they've ever offered. There's no need for weekly micromanaging either. No waiver wire. No roster management. Bigger rosters so the wave of injuries won't derail your season. In this quest, two skilled and savvy players will earn a reward worthy of champions. Second place earns a cool $1 million. But win it all, $2 million are yours. You fancied yourself a master of the fantasy football gridiron. Here's your chance to prove it. There's only one way to take advantage. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code UTREE. That will allow you to enter the $15 million best ball contest for $20 and receive a bonus ticket to play free. I would partake in this contest, but last year's fantasy team earned me dead last in my league. On second thought, I might play anyway. And if you do, always remember to play responsibly. Welcome back to the NFL, where the quest for world domination continues with haste. More international flair to rival FIFA and scope will be relentless. And it will be with new twists, more kickoff changes, more games added in the future, and automatic ball measurements that will somehow lead to more controversy for reasons of fuck you. The AFC has pretty much become fuck you the conference. Strong teams looking to overtake Kansas City abound. Chiefs will continue to hold the fort. 15 other teams will try to usurp them this year. For better or worse. We've reached the mid-90s stage of the Bills push. What is it going to take to get them over the top? Always circling the wagons of futility when it matters in spite of everything they do. An elite quarterback, a well-balanced roster, James Cook got the money that he desired. Everything should be peachy keen, but the legacy of failure remains strong. It's a precarious situation they're in. The only thing that will suffice for Bills Mafia is a ring. Not even an appearance in the Super Bowl, that time has passed. Who knows how long Josh Allen has until his body starts breaking down on him. Pieces were shuffled to try and break through the glass ceiling. Out goes the ill-advised signing of respected veteran Von Miller. In comes the respected veteran Joey Bosa. Hope that he stays healthy for longer than 8 games. The regular season means nothing. The only things that do are January Ball and Haley Steinfeld. If you can't beat the Chiefs, join them. Buffalo's gonna be getting a Hallmark movie. That predictable cookie-cutter slop will likely mirror their year. A lovely marriage of playoff misery. I smell panic in the air. In desperation, Miami's been doing everything to overhaul their team propensity to freeze in winter. And freeze up in the clutch. A team as fragile as Tua's concussion history needs a jolt or 7. And no, I don't mean Teron Armstead retiring, adding more questions to the offensive line. There's a bigger issue at hand. They've no cornerbacks. Gator Kohu and Artie Burns are out for the year. Jalen Ramsey's cancer's been excised. What are they gonna do, put Mink at corner? Rasul fucking Douglas? Questions at edge, questions nearly everywhere on the damn team. Even a kicker. Jason Sanders has a hip injury now. It's a team that needs every single thing to go right, but probably won't unless Mike McDaniel concocts magic spells and solves world hunger before bedtime. One thing though. Make a pledge to overhaul the culture and remove malcontents, yet you keep Tyreek around? That's what we call a half measure. Last beginning of the rebuild failed miserably. Prepare the new beginning of the rebuild. Now with even more of a boys club than before. When Josh McSnake oils back as offensive coordinator and it's seen as a massive upgrade, you know things were dire. But will there be evolution? Not just with Drake May, but Mike Vrabel as well. Can the same thing happen to Robert Kraft in the owner's box? Is the answer for their receiving core really an aging Stephon Diggs coming off an ACL tear? A gazillion wideouts and nobody knows if any of them can catch. The terrible O-line can't be much worse, right? The defense has to improve with the return of core pieces, but do you really believe they'll be anywhere but the basement? It's gonna be a long road back, and nobody enjoys it more than the rest of football. Can this year be any better than their 2024 draft at least? Or their 2022 draft? How does Elliott Wolf still have a job? Low Jets is a staple that withstands the test of time. Every time you lazily bring up the butt fumble in a conversation, the fans groan, but deep down they know it's true. New York has never escaped that reputation. Anything even grazed by this organization dies. Even things that should be dominant like that high-profile defense self-inflict poison damage for weeks on end. Maybe they'll drown in sauce. Gardner's become the highest-paid corner in football for about 5 minutes. Can he translate his abilities onto Justin Fields? Can't be worse than Rodgers was in this offense, right? The offensive line has to mold into something, right? Aaron Glenn should rub off on them positively, but hopefully any drama and danger averted like that Garrett Wilson holdout once looming. He got paid in the end. Maybe the Jets get rewarded too. If things go to shit, the solution's easy. Steph the Johnsons changed their Madden ratings. It worked for Jerry Jeudy, apparently. We already know what the Ravens offer. We've been through the same damn song and dance for about 5 years running, maybe longer. They have incredible talents throughout the roster. Paid handsomely like Kyle Hamilton just was. They have the ability to go far. Hell, DeAndre Hopkins is here in the most predictable union circa 2022, but it doesn't answer the biggest threat to their hopes. Themselves. Last year was the usual frustrations. You can't beat Buffalo, what makes you think you can beat Chiefs bullshit? Even with Lamar performing well, dazzling with his might, and King Henry agelessly rumbling down the field, you can't trust them. Not until they perform in the clutch. Much to the surprise of shitposters everywhere, Mark Andrews is still here after his disaster showing against the Bills. It might be for the best. Isaiah's likely going to be out for a bit due to an injury in camp. Their true tests come once again in January. Whether they succeed or fail miserably, as always, is up to them and them alone. My money's on them failing. We ask ourselves the greatest question of our times. Can a team win football games without anything resembling a defense? Well, we already know the answer from the mid-2010 Saints, and it's no. Joe Burrow's going to be throwing for 500 yards a game to Jamar and T, yet still lose by double digits in each affair. Right, I forgot to mention Chase and Higgins had the same agent. They were a package deal. Apparently Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart getting fucked over by organizational cheapness was another. They only offered Trey 1 year guaranteed. Since he tried to recite the Carl Pickens clause to Shamar. Seriously, how the fuck is Mike Brown not dead yet? Does he goon to fucking over his players? Evil prevailed in both stalemates. To an extent. And with some convincing. Like the Ravens, the main threat to success are themselves. However, it's in a different way. The Browns and Blackburns keep stabbing the team so it isn't as expensive to run, apparently. It took out Cordell Volson for the year, although that's addition by subtraction. Maybe the same as with their defense. They do realize being cheap now costs more in the long run. God gives Cleveland his toughest battles. The Pittsburgh Pirates of football only produce more sadness and misery with a touch of extreme delusion for some odd reason. They had 5 signed quarterbacks headed into camp and none of them were either ready or long-term options. Deshaun's probably never playing again, but hell continues for them. And it's not just in bringing in Tyler Huntley as a camp body. Martin Emerson's out for the year with a torn Achilles. Quinshon Judkins got arrested for domestic assault and battery. He won't face charges, but he won't sign a contract he'll sign as their second-round pick, apparently. Myles Garrett can kill Mason Rudolph again for $40 million a year. Wait, that's good, I think. The answers lie in the past. Boys, we're going retro. Joe Flacco remains elite. The Shador fanboys are out in full force as a response. No, it's not that Sanders isn't ready and is overrated. The Browns conspired against him. He couldn't succeed against the backups of the Rams. Jimmy Haslam didn't meddle for him, he meddled for Dylan Gabriel. Was it really worth a victory tour for one fucking preseason game? Remember Malik Cunningham? I'll cringe when he eventually starts in November. Tonight, on Fuck Me Sideways, Wearing Hollywood, the soulless remake is ordered up for nostalgia bait. 9 and 8 Super Bowl must be maintained at any cost, and the special guest star power is rearranging the chairs on this listless ship. DK Metcalf is here on a hefty payday as the rich man's George Pickens. That cancer's gone, thank God. Jalen Ramsey backing up more than a Brinks truck as a super utility man on the secondary. Jonnu Smith brought in to appease Arthur's drug addiction. And emerging from the darkness is the cancer of Aaron Rodgers. Replacing the leader of men as the immobile Twilight QB who laughs as his prime self. This calls for celebration. TJ Watt getting paid the big bucks because they had no choice. And Cam Hayward holding in for more money. He got paid last year, but he wants more during the regular season. Or he'll come back after a few weeks. Will the Steelers ever embrace the need for a 4-13 season? Will they ever find a wide receiver too? Are the tackles going to prevent A-Rod from getting killed? All this and more on this upcoming season of "We're all out of ideas" to the Enzermobile. On the cusp of greatness, yet falling into repeated potholes of their own design. That's the Houston Texan way. Last season showed that even for their obvious struggles, they're the kings of the pathetic division they're in. Look, with that dynamite defense, it's hard not to. Derek Stingley got a king's ransom as reward for his service, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson's in the fold. They're set there. The question lies on offense, particularly that O-line. Laramie Tunsil's gone. Titus Howard's going to be shifting to blindside. And other quandaries plague their stability. Although the greatest upgrade might be Kenyon Green getting shipped out. Even Philly didn't want to deal with him. C.J. Stroud be able to rally the franchise to greater heights? He's finally getting some semblance of input into the offense. But someone else is going to have to step up at wideout. Injuries and attrition have knocked it down a peg. A season full of Christian Kirk and the rest of the league ready to kill the franchise. Giving Jaden Higgins a fully guaranteed deal as a second-rounder opened Pandora's box. No shutting it now. Considering Joe Mixon's out for the first 4 games of the season, they're gonna have to rev things up properly. Does Nick Chubb have access to the Fountain of Youth? Football's gassed up mid. A team that fancies itself something far greater than what it is while the rest of us openly laugh at them. You have playoff expectations, yet your defense was that bad last year? Upgrading the secondary might not fix it. If they can't get themselves out of that Gus Bradley funk with that paper soft schedule and division, there will be hell to pay. Not just with the team, but with Ballard and Steichen. I don't know why Chris Ballard's still here. Jim Irsay somehow thought that man was the greatest GM in the world and had carte blanche to get no results in the process. But Jim's gone off to that great guitar collection in the sky. His daughters might not have that same sentimentality. Word of advice, ladies, be the exact opposite of Jim in this last decade plus. Indy's been allergic to good quarterback play, and that includes AR5. Dude should have never, ever been picked 4th overall, and it's been vindicated time and time again. So many opportunities to secure the starting role, and he lost the job to the most Colts quarterback to have ever colted in this timeline. Danny Derps. Indiana Jones coming back to flop like days of old. Don't argue with me, Indy. You know what I say is true. You guys are going to have Daniel Jones as a starting QB in a year or two, and you'll enjoy it.
That is destiny fulfilled.
Another former offensive coordinator for the Bucs needs to play quarterback whisperer. It's working with Bryce Young. Now it needs to work with Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville's paying him the big bucks. And as the only hope for a god-awful 2021 QB class, a lot's riding on his shoulders. An entire city's is as well. Stagnation doesn't just describe him, it does the whole team. No longer pressed by a Taylor near the goal line, they hope to have Travis Hunter become the next superstar. Both in the secondary and as a wingman for Brian Thomas. If you look close, you can see a glimmer of something here. Those edge rushers are phenomenal. Their linebacking core respectable. The offense has flashes of brilliance, occasionally. But if Lawrence can't make another jump, they're in trouble. And not just with as many critics. And for the love of God, Liam better have practiced how to yell, "Dude!" Prepare the tanks, my friends. The old regime will be scapegoated for failures past. This new regime is nothing like that shitty one. They allow the fans 2 minutes hate for John Robinson. And probably Brian Callahan when he's eventually fired soon enough. Enter the hopeful future of the organization in Cam Ward. So humble and unassuming that next to no one's talking about him. He's the most unheralded first overall pick since Trayvon Walker. Hey, Trayvon's been pretty damn solid, so if that's the comparison, it's a decent one. Tennessee's comparisons this year, let's not get into that. There are a ridiculous amount of holes on the roster full of failed prospects and past regrets. One of these is somehow not Traylon Burks. He got cut over a month ago. And now back to your regularly scheduled 2 minutes hate for John Robinson. It'll be a hard road back to the top, but with smart and savvy moves, that dream may become a reality. You paid what to Dan Moore? Anyone traveling within vicinity of Mile High, please take all necessary precautions. Dangerous levels of opium have irradiated the entirety of Colorado. Even taking refuge in the mountains will not suffice. Strong defense plus quarterback that isn't deadweight added with a running game that might do something equal toxic optimism. Even Sean Payton isn't immune to its potent charm. Bo Nix is the finest yards after catch merchant the team has seen in an age. Zion's better than Paxton Lynch, it counts. What's also eons better are former 49ers for the defense. Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga join a group hungry to take down Chiefs. Or at least win a playoff game. If that happens, the city will celebrate with the finest psychedelics the state has to offer. As a cloud of insufferable smog suffocates a 100-mile radius. Don't worry, Kansas City, you've got immunity. We all cheered in unison for about 3 hours. The horrible evil had been vanquished by an even greater one in the Super Bowl. It was a time where the football world was united, until we all realized the Chiefs' bullshit was merely stifled. As heels of the league, they've had a turn of face that rivals Hulk Hogan's back in the day. When Patrick Mahomes and a healthy dose of breath ball are involved, the odds are stacked against us. They've embraced their Patriots arc. There's no need for that pesky flash or watchability. Just be efficient, methodical, suffocating. Even more churn of the rank and file has occurred throughout the offseason. And that churn has led to their wideouts going fast off the field. Rashee Rice, in particular, being a total fucking idiot. He luckily spun a 6-game suspension on the wheel of discipline. Xavier Worthy was also arrested for assault, but charges were never filed. He's clear to play. Not just breaking laws, but breaking records and spirits like Taylor Swift and the Kelseys breaking YouTube. Literally. Speaking of which, they're not going off your screens. Tay-Tay got a ring before Lamar and Josh. And then, with no explanation given, the Antichrist was born. Have a nice day. Tom Brady in Raiders colors. Feels offensive to several organized religions and haram to a few others. Their last few eras have been train wrecks. In spite of imitating several franchises, they found their next plan. Bringing in former Seahawks. Pete Carroll's gum-chewing prowess ready to chew through the AFC West alongside his trusty quarterback. Geno Smith, welcome to Raider Nation. He's not AOC or Desmond Mitter. That alone's a gigantic upgrade. Ashton Jeanty is not Samir White. Another colossal upgrade. What also helps in the end? Max Crosby got paid. The great edge rusher race, they secure theirs probably for the remainder of his career. A team stuck in neutral hoping to get out of the muck by any means necessary. You thought the Chargers had their feel-good reunions? Wait until you get a look at them reuniting with Amari Cooper. Don't worry, Bolts, you can sign the mistake of Christian Wilkins on the free market. This guy was supposed to be the next big free agent haul, and he had less impact here than Chandler Jones. Do we give him a kiss on the forehead before he packs his shit or what? Will the same happen to Jacoby Myers once he leaves this place too? After months of struggle, Jim Harbaugh has finally been freed from the devastating clutches of the dirty bubble. Whether the Chargers themselves get free from the devastating clutches of self-destruction or not is to be determined. Like Justin Herbert and his naysayers, it's a team of what-ifs and variables. They could be really, really good. All Liquid LA needs is health and a stable interior O-line and better running backs and the return of Mike Williams to the place that made him great. Wait, he retired. Make that the return of Keenan Allen to the place that made him great. I thought he signed here back in March. The rules of Harbaugh ball are simple. They'll strangle the living hell out of you in the trenches and on the ground. As long as Najee Harris can stay healthy, they'll be fine there. Now as they move forward in this new domain, Rashawn Slater's out for the season. This team really is paying the price for leaving San Diego after all these years. Speaking of which, the last connection in Joey Bosa's gone like the tatters of this franchise. At least Keenan Allen's back by proxy. In a world where the AFC has been dominated by a handful of teams, there are a couple of potential new groups that will try to stake their claim. The word potential has to be emphasized. The competition will mostly be spots in the mid-tier, I reckon. The AFC East, barring absolute collapse, is Buffalo's from the word go. The AFC North, same thing. It's Baltimore's unless everything implodes. The AFC South's a touch more complicated. Not really, Houston's got that. The AFC West gets interesting. But then you remember the Chiefs have bullshit on their side and will end up winning it to the chagrin of everyone else. The wildcards get some fun at least. More than a few choices to pick from. And for me, I'm going with the Broncos, Chargers, and Steelers. 9-8 Super Bowl will survive forevermore. Seems pretty predictable, doesn't it? I hope this jinxes everything into changing. Please, for the love of God, let this prediction backfire.
Drill the ball.
Holy smokes. They got a shot.
He just kicked a 70-yard field goal. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
I've never seen that. The NFL record. That would be an NFL record.
Holy smokes.